morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Awaken the World. My name is Garen, and today we are going to be talking about pain. All sorts of pain. So nice to see everyone this morning. It's another beautiful day. Just a little gain control there. And it looks like the chat is online. Seems a little bit out of place, but it is functioning effectively. So today we're going to be talking about pain, and just a little recap from yesterday. Yesterday we were talking about freedom, and that ultimately freedom really is living a life without fear. Living without fear in everything we do. And one of the biggest fears we have next to death, next to change, and change is really all about a whole bunch of little deaths, okay? We have the fear of pain. And if you talk to most people, even people who are not afraid of dying per se, they are afraid of dying in pain. They don't want to die in pain. So we're going to talk about dealing with physical pain, emotional pain, and mental pain. And we're going to use the words emotional pain, but what we really mean is feeling pain. And that comes from the mental state. So, in fact, from my point of view, we can actually dump the emotional one out. Because as I've said before, emotions, true emotions, only come from within, they're always positive, and they upwell from our higher being. It is our feelings, what we perceive about what we think and what we choose to feel, what our body is telling us about what we think, that we would call feelings. And those can be painful. But what really is all pain? If we, as I've said many times, I'm a simple guy. So for me, I like to boil things right down. So what is all pain? And we're going to talk about that. If we look at pain from a more clinical point of view, pain is an unpleasant sensation and a feeling experience, not an emotional experience, linked to tissue damage. Its purpose is to allow the body to react and prevent further tissue damage. And there's two types of basic pain that we talk about. There's the acute pain and then there's the chronic pain. Acute pain, slice yourself with a knife. Chronic pain, fibromyalgia, for example, endometriosis, other issues like that, arthritis. The worst, of course, is often dealing with the fear of the pain or that more pain is on the way. And we're going to talk about some of the pain mitigation techniques, and then I'm going to give you Garen's spiritual point of view on the whole pain story, because I've had my fair share of pain too, and I don't feel a lot of pain anymore. And there's a way to do it. There really is. But we are going to discuss some of the common ways. And the beauty about what the human being perceives it is going through, okay, is that these lessons are being slowly absorbed and learned by the whole. In hospitals, in cancer treatment clinics, which typically be on the more cutting edge, okay, the idea of holistic medicine has been slowly incorporated over the last 20 years, 30 years now. Growing faster and faster and faster, of course, but it really was on the cutting edge of realizing that you had to deal with the whole holistic being. You couldn't look at a body as just something that became ill. And more, we need to see that spread throughout the whole of our medical communities. And strides are being made. There are still a lot of mainstream doctors who are simply, they've been too brainwashed by the system. They don't even know where their beliefs come from. They've been told that at their colleges and universities, and they bought it hook, line, and sinker, and they're never going to change. But there are a number of doctors who are becoming more and more aware that their position is not so much as a healer, but a facilitator. There's that word again, facilitating. We're going to talk more about that too. So, techniques to reduce the fear of pain. because this is the bigger issue. You know, pain itself is something that, the experience can actually be a blessing. And I don't want to get off track, so we're going to talk about that as well in my kind of definition after. We can see ourselves in our mind as a pain-free vision, feeling whole, feeling well, feeling at ease. We can have a vision in our mind of what our interior true being is manifest. So perhaps it glows softly. Perhaps the vision of ourselves whole and pain-free, along with all the positive emotional states, allowing joy to well up within your being, allowing happiness and compassion and empathy to well up in your being. For yourself. Love for yourself, even in the state of the pain that you are already in or you feel is coming. Seeing yourself in your mind this way, picturing yourself in your mind this way is not an escape. It is not. What you're doing is you are projecting out into the universe with no intent, a statement of how you feel about your being. A good analogy would be, good morning, Jackie. Jackie's here. Nice to see you. Namaste to you as well. So we're talking about pain today, Jackie, if you haven't been on since it came on at 10:30. And right now we're going through some of the common techniques to reduce the fear of pain and reduce pain itself. And one of those techniques is to see ourselves in our mind, as I was saying, pain-free and feeling well and whole and at ease. And often I like to include a glow to myself. I give my being a definitive kind of white afterglow that's kind of there yet not there. And I picture this statement of myself to the universe, because I have a lot of issues that bring me body pain, actually. I've had half the bones in my body broken twice over, so pretty much all of them. Along with some degenerative spine issues. I've been shot, I've been stabbed, I've fallen down a rock face, and I mean, cancer 3 times. I mean, the list goes on. It's really okay. It really is, because in my head I have this statement of who I truly am to the universe, what I truly am, and the more you hold that as yourself, the more that interior magnificent being that you are relays that back into the temple. And I still managed to do a colossal amount of work for a guy my age and have a lot of fun outside and live a healthy life despite pain. Mindfulness. The 3 words that my wife hates me to say most of all, that all start, actually they're all the same word. And what are they, honey?
Awareness, awareness, awareness.
That's it. Awareness, awareness, awareness. Mindfulness has been described in many ways, but one of them is paying attention to something on purpose and with fresh eyes. And when we say with fresh eyes, we mean with no judgment, with no label. For people suffering with chronic pain, mindfulness can turn down that volume. And what it does is it reduces your anxiety, it reduces the fear. This pain does not belong to me. That is another great way. Exactly. I am not this pain. As Jackie pointed out here on the screen, that is an awesome statement to make. This pain does not belong to me. It is not my pain. I don't own the pain. Absolutely, Jackie. Spot on. Right on target. The mindfulness, the awareness we have of our interior being, our true selves, we can, and the understanding, of course, that that voice in our head is not that which is experiencing any pain, but it certainly feels that way. And we're going to talk about in the section that I'm going to throw away the book on in a minute or two here. A couple other techniques that can be used is positive affirmation or mantras. And you can design your own mantra, and as Jackie says, "This pain doesn't belong to me" would be an example that you could use as a mantra that you could repeat. If you sense yourself becoming fearful of a painful circumstance or of upcoming pain that you know is coming, or the likelihood of pain, you can incorporate mantras such as, "The pain will pass through me," or "I will take no heed of the pain." You can find positive slogans for yourself, positive affirmations, and to be honest, I have to say I do not agree with the "I am tougher than this pain" one. And there's a good reason why, and we're going to discuss that as well. You can continue to repeat these affirmations over and over while focus on your breath. And your breath is one of your most powerful tools to get a grip on pain, to get a grip on fear, to get a grip on anxiety, worry, depression, any of the negative states. The breath is one of your most powerful tools. And there's a very particular breathing technique which I'm going to offer up and teach everyone today, okay? And that is also going to be at the end of this next upcoming section. But, have to keep everyone interested and around for a while. So we've covered off some of the common techniques, and we've covered off some of the helpful ideas, but we still don't really understand, in my mind, why the pain. And when we put aside all the medical and scientific definitions about, because in essence what we're talking about is a signal, an electrical signal, that's going to a particular bundle of nerves that are transporting that into the brain, and it's being interpreted inside the brain. And we often think of the brain and consciousness as a product of the brain. It's not. The brain is a product of consciousness. The brain is the relic, the remnant, the monument to the consciousness, the evolution behind it. Ultimately, pain is always our own inner resistance. And this is going to seem a little hard to grasp, and I forgive me if I cannot explain this clearly enough. I feel free to ask questions, and I'll do my best to make it clear. But it is our inner resistance to the pain that causes the pain to well and grow. And the best way I can describe this is, when I was shot, getting shot really wasn't painful, to be honest with you, because of course your body reacts instantly. Dopamine and other chemicals are released by your brain, adrenaline. The whole being is flooded in a chemical cocktail to protect the temple, to protect the body. And I didn't really know what had happened to me. But I tell you, 4 hours later, as I lay on a gurney in the field hospital, the pain began to set in then. And it began to set in when the surgeon, and I was still conscious, they hadn't so much as given me a shot. They couldn't yet. They couldn't give me a shot of anything. Actually, physically reached his hand inside of my body through the rip that the bullet had made. And then I knew pain. If you were to go find that gurney, the metal bars on either side of that gurney, I swear to God, have my handprints in them. They have my fingers literally grinding that metal. I mean, I've never felt pain that way. But in the middle of that pain, in the depth of that pain, I understood. Something triggered with me. As it was piling up and piling up, it was like a weight on my being, a weight on my ego. And I understood that I was trying to hold on to it. I was trying to encompass it. I was trying to stop it. It was me in the way of the pain. And that's why the pain was growing greater and greater and greater. And this is a process that to say you did this and then to explain how you did this is really difficult. All I can say is it happens automatically. And I found this breathing process works to facilitate this happening. I literally gave way. I literally let go. I let go of the wall I was trying to hold up against the pain. And I stepped out of the way. And even though I was viscerally aware that my body was experiencing pain, I became quite separate from the pain. As Jackie says here, not only did the pain no longer belong to me, but I no longer was the experiencer of it. It was like a dull roar in the background. And I hadn't separated myself from my being. I was still very much there. But upstairs in my egoic mind is where the magic had happened. And I had let go of holding back out of fear the wall of that pain. And I think this is what happens to us, okay? I think we have this fear of repeating the pain, because the first time you have the pain, the fear is not the same because you haven't experienced it yet. But once you've experienced it, then you have a real fear of it. Because damn it was miserable. And even though I can't feel the way it felt anymore, the leftover thoughts about it are creating these fearful states within your being. And what we're actually doing is we're hypersensitizing ourselves to the pain. Our fear, our expectation of a painful repeat, of having this pain repeat on ourselves, creates a heightened sensory state within our body that actually causes the pain to be more acute, more painful, sharper, stronger. And I saw this in myself as well. I saw how, especially with my back, how I would almost begin to anticipate, and it was almost like you're feeling the pain before the pain's even there. And when we talk about this sort of thing, one of the first questions that comes up, and I can imagine any sane person asking this question is, well, yeah, it's going to come back. I know. In the case of our one viewer, it was an extreme allergic reaction to cigarette smoke. Quite painful. And it's going to happen again. The issue comes, and always comes, back full circle to our own mind, our ego, that sense of self again, and the lack of control we have over our thinking processes. And what we're doing is we're actually creating the perfect environment for the pain to settle right in with us. Now, this technique, as I said, there's you have to consciously let go. But, as Kelly and I were talking yesterday in our video, and if you got a chance to see that one yesterday evening, it was kind of fun. when we say something, it may sound good, but what does it actually mean? And this is the issue when it comes to moving out of the way egoically in your head when it comes to pain. There's no words that I'm going to be able to say that are really going to make sense to you. All as I can do is prepare you and give you the opportunity to see it for yourself and then have that experience. And the way to do that is this. The next time that you're feeling in fear of approaching pain, or you're feeling the early symptoms of that pain coming back, I want you to breathe for 4 minutes with any positive mantra you choose. And the breath is very simple. It is breathing in for 2 seconds, breathing out for 4, pausing, breathing in for 4 seconds, pausing, and then pushing all the air out for 2 seconds. So we do the breath like this. 2 seconds in, and then 4 seconds out. Pause at the bottom. You're not holding your breath, you're simply not breathing. And then breathing in for 4. Pause at the top. Here you're holding your breath lightly. And then pushing all the air out in 2 seconds. When you push that air out, contract your stomach, contract your diaphragm, and pull it in and just shove that air out. And on every out breath, use your own positive affirmation, your own mantra, whatever it is that helps bring you peace in this process. And if you follow that breathing pattern for only 3 or 4 minutes and become aware of what's going on in your head, you're going to find that as the pain begins to build, you're going to feel like there is a wall that you're literally trying to hold the pain back like a dam. You're going to feel you in the way of the pain. And the only thing I can say to you is you have to let go then. You literally just have to consciously let go. Allow the pain to obliterate you. It's okay. Trust me on this one. You will not be obliterated. What will be obliterated is your resistance to the pain. And the pain will roll past you like a freight train, and it will become this dull roar in the background of your being, instead of something front and center to your life. Now, there's one other technique that I've used that has been extremely helpful, and this technique is based upon one of Garen's sayings, that it hurts more to be shot in the back than it does to be shot in the chest. What this means is we tend to run away from the things that we think are going to cause us pain. The things we're afraid of, the pain we know is coming, or the pain we're experiencing, we tend to want to turn tail and run from it. And there's no blame in that. Who doesn't? It's a natural instinct. Something's causing you pain, get away from it. But how do you get away what's within you? From what? Let's try that in English. How do you get away from that which is within you? There's only one way. You have to go through it. You have to turn around and not run from the pain, but you have to instead open yourself and walk into the pain. And I suggest, until you understand how this actually works for you, the best thing to start with is an itch. The next time you have an itch anywhere in your body, and I'm talking about the itch that's begging to be scratched, okay? The one that makes you squirm and worm on your seat. The next time you have an itch, instead of scratching that itch, I want you to bring all your attention to the spot where the itchiness exists. And I want you to go into the experience of itchiness. And I want you to look and I want you to see all the thoughts that come up about the itching and ignore them. Let them go by you like clouds on a sunny blue sky day. Go deeper and deeper into the itch. And if you practice this a little bit, you will reach a point where you go through the itch, and the itch is now behind you. Metaphorically speaking, of course. The itch is no longer in front of you. It's literally behind you. You've gone through the itch, and very quickly the itch will fade away. This technique is extremely valuable as well. Hello, Debbie. How are you? Nice to see you here as well. You came in the last few minutes, but it is good you're here. And don't worry, there will be much more coming this week, of course. So to review, when it comes to our pain, we have some techniques available, and one of the best techniques that I can give to you is, of course, that simple breathing technique. And it's very simple to remember. You're breathing in for 2 seconds, breathing out for 4, and then pausing. And then breathing in for 4 seconds, pausing, holding your breath lightly, and then pushing it all out in the last 2 and pulling in your abdomen. This will help. I've been here just not. Oh, great. I'm glad you've been here, Debbie. And it's great you have the comments figured out. That's awesome because we love interacting with you too. And the second technique, of course, involves actually going in towards the pain or the itch. Start with an itch. You know, ultimately, and I know this doesn't make for much succor when you are in the midst of pain. I've been there. I still experience it. But it is not you that really suffers. It is the false concept of you that's suffering. You are not a bad person. You haven't offended God or done something wrong or deserve this pain. One way or another, you have chosen this journey. And that does not mean you choose to suffer. What it means is you've chosen to grow. You've chosen to evolve. And the only last gift I can give you is the understanding that the pain that you perceive you suffer today is one less pain the collective that you are will suffer in other lives. One less experience another version of you will not have to experience because of your sacrifice and your gift. This does not make us martyrs, and it does not make us victims. There really are no victims. There really aren't. The experiences you're having, the experiences you're choosing now, are not to be blamed on anyone. Certainly not on you. But we can take responsibility. We can look within that, not as to why we're having it, but what it is that we can get out of it. And the one beautiful thing about pain, especially physical pain, is there is nothing that brings us closer to our higher being, to that infinite source of consciousness, than being deep in physical pain. The ego crumbles and our connection is miraculously apparent again, quite easily. Now, the only other type of pain we really suffer, of course, is mental pain. And the mental pain can be far worse than the physical pain, because the mental pain includes all the, negative feelings we have about the pain as well. And as within, so without, as above, so below. We solve the inside and the outside in the same manner. I'm beginning to tell myself that the pain is not bad. Yes, absolutely. You are not bad for having pain or experiencing pain. And it does take courage to turn and face the pain. Absolutely, Debbie. It takes courage to stop running, to stop and to turn and say, okay, show me what you got. You know, I can promise you this. We are never, ever, ever given anything that we are not powerful enough to handle. We are never given anything that we are not surrounded by people who are there to help us handle it. It's all in our perception. And this is the biggest thing about mental pain. It starts and finishes with changing your perceptions about pain, about who you are. And, you know, Debbie says, I'm not taking meds or drinking. Okay, drinking is a good thing. Not to drink. I mean, as long as you're drinking lots of water. But we have to talk briefly about taking medication. You know, in extreme states of pain, medication can be valuable. I'm not saying to anyone, do not take medication for pain. But what I'm saying is do not allow the medication to become a crutch. Use the medication as I don't think a last resort is the right word, but as a backup to when all your other mindfulness and awareness methods have failed you. And the reason I say that is that, of course, the body is amazingly adaptable, and what happens is we can become quite adapted to our pain medication and find that it will no longer function over time, which causes a need to take more medication. And eventually those medications become a greater problem to the temple than the pain is. Chemotherapy, radiation therapy is a prime example of that. I've been through it. I know. So, you know, if it comes to it where you feel you do need something for the pain, you know, use it. Don't be afraid to use it, but do not allow it to become a crutch. Use it as a life vest. When you've dealt with it as much as you can, and you don't feel you can take it anymore. You know, well, you know, mental illness and physical pain are similar things. And mental illness these days, you would have to include about 70% of our society. I mean, in reality, ego itself, there is a dysfunction to the human species, and it is not a bad dysfunction. It is a necessary dysfunction that we should be able to recognize and grow and evolve beyond that dysfunction. And, you know, in the case of myself, PTSD, I would qualify to be considered mentally ill. But what does that really mean? You know, it all comes back to these definitions again, and this is where things get really funny on us. And believe it or not, a lot of our perceived pain comes from the way we define our world around us. The idea that I'm not supposed to feel this way. I'm not supposed to think this way. I'm not supposed to anything. Yeah, really, 70%. The statistics are in. North American wide, 70% of the population is suffering from some mental illness or another. Scary. Go figure, the way our societies choose to live. I mean, it doesn't take a very awakened individual to look around and realize that we're nuts. The whole species is off its rocker. This is the only planet we know we can survive. We're the only species that soils its own nest. We're doing everything we can to make sure that our children and grandchildren have no hope at all of survival. We dumb ourselves down. We don't care for ourselves properly. We live quaking, fearful lives. We think power and money and control are the gods of our world. We measure success by pocketbooks and bank accounts and luxury yachts. And at the same time, we don't put those people in our history books, and we venerate people like Jesus and Gandhi and Buddha and Muhammad. We are an insane species. And insane's maybe not the right word. We're immature. We really are the preschoolers of the universe. And I can say that with 100% honesty. And, you know, Kelly does the same thing. A lot of our lives are based on this whole concept of should be or should not be. And as I talked about last night, if you haven't seen the video from last night, take a look at it. It's on Facebook, not on YouTube, on the group page. But, you know, we live from this should and should not state of being. There are no shoulds or should nots. You are here to create what you will. And a lot of the times when we're suffering pain, the source of that pain, especially if it's mental pain or what we would perceive as feeling or emotional pain, it is all tied up in our perceptions and what we think about what we think other people are thinking about what we think. I know that was hard to follow, but that's literally what we do. We think that we know what someone else is thinking about what they're thinking about what we're thinking that they think that we think about them. Every time I say that, it really gets confusing, but that's really what we do. And then we wonder why we get so messed up. Stop caring. What do you think? What do you choose for yourself? What do you hold true for yourself? We're going to wrap this up today. A number of things on the plate today, including shooting another video, but wanted to do this one live. And thank you to Debbie and to, we had, who else showed up? I can't see anymore. It's gone. Jackie, there you are. You disappeared on me, Jackie. I can't do anything with the screen. So thank you both for coming on today. And I hope this has been a helpful video in regarding to pain. And we look forward to the rest of the videos, the live Help and Awaken on Wednesday, and much more to come this week. Again, much love, namaste, and have yourselves all a wonderful day.